No matter the weather, no matter forever, my love for you will always be longer than a letter. To the dry tear stains on the paper, to never message you back. This episode is called Letters I Never Sent. Sometimes I think about all the things I didn't say, and it's not because I didn't want to, but it's because I didn't know how. So, this episode is going to really pay homage to everybody that I wanted to say things to that I never really got the chance, whether if they're still here and some people aren't. So, for the ones that were in chapters that I never said about, and to the ones that left mid-sentence, to the ones that never knew how much they mattered, it's for
It's
you.
a brand new season, I don't got nothing to lose. I be up late till the morning, wondering what else to do. Lately I've been off my socials, don't really care for the views. I had to reset my settings, had to get up and go get it. Yeah, had to get up.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, everybody. It is your boy BK, and welcome back to Trending Waters, where life gets deeper than the ocean. Today, we're going to be diving into something deep. And this segment of the podcast, not even podcast, but this segment in general, is just letters that I never was able to send. Things that I was never able to say to people, parts of me that wish that, that they were still here, that I'd be able to speak to them, talk to them, conversate, love. So if you like what you're hearing, make sure you stay to the end and let's dive in. So the first person I want to talk about is Perry. His name is Malik, but for those, we call him Perry. And that was my bro. That was my bro before the bro. That was my bro before Alex. That was my bro before Kevin, Demetrius, Rel, everybody. This was, the origin. Well, not technically, but we'll get into that later. But Perry was a real cool friend, kind of like a brother to me. He was somebody that will always stand by your side no matter what. A lot of it came down to him just having that personality, And we always used to, well, his family knew that he had a speech impediment, but with those who knew him, he talked without his tongue. So it was a little special, but some of the big things from my friend, he told me how to ride a bike. He told me how to fight. I remember when Mr. Vernon, his dad, took us up to block the 19th Street, and he taught us. He was like, "Yeah, these kids around here, all they do is fight. Hey, you gotta learn how to protect yourself. You gotta learn how to fight." So he would take me, his brothers, because obviously they were a lot older, but there's a range of people that we would go, and he would teach us how to box. And one of the vivid things that I always remember is Perry never let somebody bully me at all. He did not care about any of that. And it was something that was really special to me. As I'm sitting here thinking about it, it's really, I actually teared up before I actually sat down because I really miss him, I miss him because that's my boy. But those things could never be forgotten. And it just made me want to write a segment of just, letters that things I was never able to get to say. We grew up together for the better half. And, time did his thing. He moved. He started a family and everything like that. And I was going through my own trials and tribulations. So it was kind of like an on and off thing. Honestly, it's like a blur Because if I can take it all back, I would. But these are the reasons why I want to express myself, to express these stories, to show, the pain that's deeper than just the inner conscious that we have. So I remember one vivid time. I believe it was my friend Alex, and I forget who else was there, but we were all on the on the Broad Street line. And we were sitting on the Broad Street line. We were all chatting and talking. And then I saw Perry. I was like, yo, Perry? Like, he was like, oh, it's IE, but nah, he ain't talk like that no more. But he was like, yo, Ike, what's up, man? What's good? I was like, yo, bro, what's up? Like, I haven't seen you in forever. So, yo, how you been? How's life? He's like, yeah, I got kids now. I got a girl holding it down. Da da da. I was like, yo, that's what's up. That's deep. And I remember just him teaching me how to climb a gate. The one time we had got stuck, I got stuck in the gate. He was really trying to help me climb. It's like, oh, come on, we gotta go, we gotta go. And just like a letter if I could send him a letter right now, I say, dear Perry, you made me brave when I didn't know what courage looked like. You were my first real shield. Dorothea. Now, a lot people may know who she is. Some may not know who she is. But to me, she was someone I wish I could have been. How vocal she was, how how charismatic she was, how she just the world was her oyster. If she wanted to go do something or be around something or do anything, she would just do it. I thought, well, not to say that we're not friends, but I wish I was always able to tell her, like, yo, like, I really appreciate you being able to be there for me, even when, stop bitching. Being such a bitch. you know, these things are going to be a little difficult. It's going to be a little controversy because a lot of people didn't end up liking her towards the end of our kind of like time together. Like we were always spending so much time together. It was like about, I would say, from after I got out of placement to about when I first met up with my now ex fiance. We were like extremely close, gone doing shit, hanging out, going to go, like I would go down to go visit her when she moved down. Well, when she moved away, I would go see her. I was able to spend the night over her house. We would go out, drink, party, all that. I do not advise underage drinking, by the way. I don't advise that do not drink when you're not of age. I just want to put that out there. I'm just saying. But she just she ran to town and I ran with her. So to Dorothea, I miss the laughter that we used to live in between the times that we shared and just, you know, hopefully we reconnect. I've seen that you're expecting, so congratulations on that. And hopefully we can come together and have a conversation and just talk about a lot of things. I remember right before we had like officially kind of like died down talking, she fully opened up to me about her story, about the things that she didn't say, the things that happened in between her lifetime of before meeting me, during meeting me, and after meeting me. And it it kind of like made me realize that there's so many things that happen to people that we don't see traditionally, and not traditionally but just in general, we don't see these things, we don't see these moments The whether if it's a shatter in someone's eye, whether it's someone's like flinching when someone says something, it's just. But again, Dorothea, I hope you're doing well, and let's reconnect. Letters I never sent. Phillip, Desiree, NZ. Now, Phillip, Desiree, NZ, they are from Mayfield Street. I grew up on Mayfield Street before I moved to where I lived at. And my first official friend was Phillip. And me and Phillip, I believe he might have been a little bit younger than I was. I think he might have been a year or two younger than me. Not sure. I don't remember. But it's been so long since I've actually talked to him. Because I know he was younger than me. I just don't know about how much. But my my grandma used to babysit, and Mr. Larry would Mr. Larry was his uncle. He had a lot of stuff that was going on in his life too, Philip. But I remember being introduced to the fancy life. I remember going over his house, well, his uncle's house, and his uncle had everything modern. That would you consider modern in the 2000s. And but Philip was a good friend. Philip was somebody that was just still kind of traversing the world himself. We were kids, but he was always there. Whenever I want to have someone like to hang out and somebody to relax with, somebody to chill with, he was there. It's not much that I could really say other than I hope he's doing well. And if you're asking, you're probably asking yourself, BK, why are you asking these questions? Can't you just go find them? Yes, I can find them. I can go look for them if I want to. But I kind of wanted to do this segment before I tried to put myself out there because, again, in the next little bit, don't cut me off. Don't cut me off. But yeah, Philip was real cool. Desiree. Now this might sound a little awkward because my ex-fiance, her name was Desiree, but this is Desiree from Mayfield Street for just a little bit of clairvoyance. She was my homie. Okay. She was my homie. When I tell you, like, bro, I would just see her. She would see me. We would hang out, stuff like that. It would be me, her, Philip, and Z. And I actually had a crush on her when I was growing up. And I remember going over her house one day and I realized, like, damn, I'm living foul. Like, her house was fucking spick spam clean. I don't even know where I'm going with this podcast. Honestly, I'm telling you, it's just just remembering your friends. And I remember just being there like, yo, Desiree, your mom's really cool, your sister's really cool, and everything like that. And honestly, I was like, I would have thought that I was falling in love, but I was a kid, so how would I know? But she had a little stipplement that was going on with her family, so she ended up moving from her mom's to her dad's. And again, this ain't my story to tell, but so, but she would go from her mom's to her dad's house from time to time. And I would sit there and I'd be like, dang, when is she coming back? So throughout the times, I remember I was saying, like, in the previous podcast, I would go and sit on my grandma's steps, grandma queen, and I will go up the street a little bit and I would go like, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go knock on her door. 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 I'm gonna ask her mom. I'm gonna ask her mom. I'm gonna ask her mom where she at. I'm gonna ask, like, has she talked to her? Have, like, when was the last time she spoke to her? Things of that nature. I was like, yo, like, I need to reconnect because, like, I really did. First and foremost, we shared the same birthday. We have the same exact birthday. She's just 1 year younger than me. So I was born in 93 on the 29th, and she was born in 94 on the 29th. So that right there, we were already like locked in, like twin. We locked in, twin forever. We locked in. And one of the moments I remember is the kind of chaotic times that was going happening. There was a kind of a chaotic time that was happening, right? So, uh, it's kind of like a bridge point. I believe my father's killer, like the person who killed my father, was, I guess, in the area or whatever. Like, cause that's a whole nother story in itself. But I remember going over to the area like Mayfield Street and stuff like that. And she was having a graduation party. And I don't necessarily say I got invited to her graduation party per se, but I was there. It was very, very. I wish that I wasn't as awkward. I wish I wasn't as awkward as I was back then, because I was like, the first time I saw her again, I was like, damn, she is so beautiful. Oh my God. And I just kept saying that in my head. I kept saying it, kept saying it, kept saying it. I was like, yo, just walk up to her. She's not gonna bite you. Uh, so we were reminiscing. She remembered who I was, which was amazing. I thought, like, through all, because you got to remember, we grew up in different, like, she moved, I believe she might have moved to Jersey, but she lived a whole different life outside of Mayfield Street. So she went through, this is like before elementary school, y'all. Like, we were kids. Like, we were like, probably no, not before elementary school, but like we were in elementary school, like first, second, third grade ish. So like, she then went to middle school. She met middle school people. She didn't met high school people. Again, she graduated. So I don't know what happened. She just was in the area. I think her mom and her sister was throwing her not birthday, graduation party. And I was there. I was like, hey, Desiree, how are you? She was like, oh, hey, it's nice to meet you. See you again. Da, 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 da. I went in the house. I sat down. It was so awkward. But all in all, I wish I could see her again. I'm gonna go try to like find her and things like that. But if she ends up hearing this, I just want her to know, like, yo, like, you were my favorite person before I met my other favorite person. You were somebody that was like, we were so close, but it was like so many things that had happened. Like, we were kids, so it was like, you barely remember those memories. You barely remember those moments, but I remember everything. So to Desiree, to Phillip, and to Z, she was always just strong arm and everything. I actually spoke to her not too long ago, but it was kind of like, hey, hi, bye-ish sort of thing. I reconnected with her on Facebook, and we chatted for like probably like 4 or 5 kind of like messages back and forth, and then that was it. Sometimes it's harder to reconnect with people from back then because they've grown past that, the childhood friend, the childhood memories and things like that. So that's that. this this episode is more just like rememberabilia. Is that how you say it? Rememberabilia? I don't know. I can't. You can't get me to say something right on this goddamn show. But to the Mayfield crew, we didn't really know it then, but we were already legends. So like, I still carry all this stuff. Like, I carry all these memories in my chest. Like, I just wish we could all just go out and like grab dinner or something like that. That'd be cool. So I have another friend. His name was Nicholas. And me and Nicholas, the reason why I knew him is because Miss Ann. I remember, if y'all are catching on to the story, I gotta remember the people that I'm talking about, y'all. Remember, I said it was one Miss Ann that sold stuff. It was the other Miss Ann who took the kids to school, and then there was the other Miss Ann who, like, just minded her goddamn business. This Miss Ann, the Miss Ann who used to take us to school, she had a lot of grandchildren. and great grands. And one of her great grandchildren, well, grandchildren, yeah, great grand, because they got a big family tree. But yeah, Nicholas was my boy. And even though we kind of had our little like off and ons and stuff like that, we were always still hanging around each other. He was a goofball. He will always get himself into some stuff because he always thought he was so tough. Like, yeah, I'm da 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 da, I'm this, that, the third. And I'm like, bro, like, we chill. Like, shit is really happening out here. Like, people are actually fighting. I remember one specific thing, we had fought or something like that. It was a dumbass fight. I forget what it was, but we were arguing over something, and then I think he wanted to disrespect my house or something like that, and it was a bunch of BS. And we ended up fighting, but we were still always cool. But I think he ended up moving back with his mom, I believe. I don't really remember the schematics or anything like that, but if you're out there, bro, I hope you're doing well. I hope life has been treating you good. I hope you're staying out of trouble. I really hope you're staying out of trouble. And for Grandma Queen, man, I actually have like a little voicemail from her that I might put into like a little snippet here. But Grandma Queen was not my actual grandma. Okay. She was my grandfather's fling because apparently my grandpa was a pimp. Not really, but him and Grandma Queen was, you know, I don't really understand. I don't get the schematics. I never found that out because my life, again, people in my life, they didn't want to tell me things. So you just got to take my word for it. So but no, Grandma Queen, I remember just earliest memory, I used to always turn off the Sega. She would be playing Pac-Man. That's why I like Pac-Man so much. Like, so this is more of a ramble than an actual podcast, I swear. It's just going through memories that I've had, like these letters that I've never sent, these people that I always wanted to say goodbye to, these things that I always wanted to say, but was too scared to say because my chest, I didn't have the courage. The trauma in me just fucked me over. But yeah, Queen, I don't know. I just feel like regret. I feel like regret when it comes to Perry. I feel regret when it comes to Dorothea. I feel regret when it comes to Phillip, Desiree, and Z. I feel regret when it comes to Aunt. I feel regret when it comes to Terrell, Bruce, Ruthie, Lexus, Mamas, uh, Amez, and Sharif. Like, it's so many people that like you go through in life, and you go and you try to remember these memories, and you say like, damn, like first and foremost, rest in peace to Sharif. He's no longer with us. Rest in peace to Perry because he's no longer with us. They both died to gang violence. Well, not gang violence, but just violence in general. And Amez, I'm not sure where he's at. The last time I checked, he was locked up. But I hope he's doing well. And it's just the scariest part about all this is that like, do you think they remember you? Were you were you important enough to them like how important they were to you in your life? You ever wonder that? You ever sit back and think like, damn, do they think of me like I thought of them? I don't know. Sometimes it's just me. But to Queen, she used to always just watch us, babysit us until we had to move from our house because my dad and my mom wanted their own space or we got kicked out. I don't know. It's not enough. There's not enough evidence to continue with the evaluation, Your Honor. Relevance. It's more like a scramble today. Been heavily emotional. I've been thinking as my birthday approaches, I get into this like this state where I know I could have done better to protect the people that I love because I have a protective kind of personality. And these things kind of haunt me. It just sits there and it's like, damn, you couldn't save another one. You couldn't help this person. You couldn't help that person. You couldn't help this person. Like, what is your purpose? Hmm. Reflection is always cool. Like, I had to listen to a couple of songs before coming on here. I had to, just to get my mind in the right state. But this is why we dive deep. This is why I named the podcast Trending Waters. This is not going to be your typical the mill, and every episode is going to be happy. Every episode is going to have like some positive message aligned with it. Sometimes it's just going to be raw, uncut kind of emotion. I want to go live eventually. That's my goal. I really want to do this podcast live because it's not enough. I feel it when I'm sitting here, like the emotion sits on my face and it weighs heavier than anything that I've ever dealt with in my life. Like, I live with these memories. The childhood version of me, he lives with all these memories and he brings them up and he sits there and he's like, yo, like, bro, we got to get through this. Or I got to get through it because, he tried back when he was, again, he wasn't equipped with the skills. So now it's up to me to fix both of us. It's three of us, actually. It's me, the teenage version of me, and then the childhood version of me. That teenage version of me, bro, he got some issues. He got trauma that's way beyond comprehension right now. So that's why we gotta like dive into like the kid version to understand why the teenage version of me was so fucked up. Ah, man, oh man. But again, to Queen, to Phillip, to Perry, to who else? To Shar. Oh my God, to Shar baby. Shar, I hope if you ever hear this podcast and if you ever hear the words of my voice, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing so, so well because, oh my God, when I first met you and we like officially met each other through Delta and oh, I remember you would come like you were the best. You were the best friend I ever had because I was struggling. Okay, she would listen, Shar baby. She would come over. I swear to God, she would come over and she would cook for me. She would like, she would spend time with me. We were like, mind you, this is all platonic, by the way. Me and her, we ain't never screw. We ain't never none of that. But the one of their prerequisites, the thing I always found funny was like I had internet and she didn't have internet. So I would put the internet box as close as I could to her, like to the one wall so the Wi-Fi can reach over to her house so she can have Wi-Fi. And her part of the bargain, she said that she'll cook. Like she'll cook and whatever. Bro, she used to cook the best fucking food. But one day I want to get her on this podcast because I remember when we were growing up, we were actually talking about a lot of different like things that she had to go through. And I witnessed some of the stuff that she was going through. She was dealing with her mom. I remember when she finally found her yeah, she finally found her like her mom and everything like that, and she had a biological little sister, and she would always go and visit her sister, and she would always bring her little sister up to her apartment and stuff, and it was just like she would like, Icky, come on, Icky, we going out, Icky, that shit sticks with me. That shit sticks with me. It sticks in my heart. Those happy moments. And again, the reason why I made this podcast is so that way it's not scripted. It's not like, oh, this. The only thing I have up is just memories and points. Okay, y'all. I have memories and I have points. And I just ramble. I'm just rambling off the things that I feel, the emotion, because you can't just connect with somebody half-assing things. That's why I'm like, yo, like Char, like, oh, apartment. I was apartment what C? I was apartment C1. She was apartment D1. It was Brandon was in B4. I was in C1. She was in D2, and I forget the other girl. Her name was actually, well, I don't know if it's her name was Queen, but she lived in apartment E E3, and we were all in Delta. So, and Delta was basically a thing for kids that kids that were whew, kids that were in the system. So you were in DHS, so you got like this thing called the board extension program, and after the board extension program, you get this thing called supervised independent living. And supervised independent living allowed you to live on your own. You just had to do a little bit of, certain things in order to keep the apartment. And then from there, you get like a board extension plus. But only the goody two shoes really got that. And I thought I was going to get a board extension, but we're getting off topic here. Uh, but yeah, so just remembering all these people, remembering all these moments, and I'm sure that I'm forgetting quite a few people, but those are the ones that meant the most. Other ones are more kind of like raunchy and trauma bonding. I'm trying to keep this kind of uplifting and positive, y'all. So if you don't hear your name, you didn't hear it for a reason, because there's some type of trauma built into the conversation that I would have. And I'm just trying to keep this, I'm just trying to keep this a little happy. Okay. I'm trying to keep it a little happy. So please don't mind if you didn't hear your name, or you're like, yo, what the fuck? Like, bro, we've been through da 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 da. I know we've been through da 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 da, but I can't say that. And I'm like, oh, I missed this person, missed that person, blah blah blah. Like then I'm like, yo, by the way, when Shorty was getting and they're like, damn, like shit took a turn. No, 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 no. We're just gonna keep that. We're gonna tuck that away. We're going to talk about that in another episode, okay? That's why podcasts are a fucking podcast to begin with. Not just for one episode. Like, I'm not just going to be here once and then just dip off. No, that's not how we do things. Trending waters, where it gets deep. If we go too deep, we can't resurface. I ain't got enough oxygen. I ain't got a lot of time on this planet. So I'm hoping I can share my story in an efficient amount of time. So please just give me some time. Be patient. Your turn. What is it? The little thing from the old, like when you used to go to the meat market, you get the little ticket and shit like that, or like some ShopRite still have it. You get the, I'm gonna call your number, okay? I'm gonna call your number. We gonna talk about it. But with that being said, sometimes I wonder if I was a bad friend. Ah, whew. Hold on. Whew. Sometimes I wonder if I was a bad friend, or if I was just a kid that was carrying too much. I don't know. Damn. It's a lot of silence. It's a lot of echoing, like a lot of memories that are just flushing out. Like maybe I should have actually thought about this a little bit more. Sometimes I write these segments, or I think about these segments, and I just want to just spitball, because I'm afraid if I write these memories down, that I would no longer have to remember them, and I could just recollect them, kind of like taking photos. One of the big things I wish was fucking popular back in the day was taking photos. I wish I took more pictures. I wish I took, went on more field trips. I wish, hey, I look at myself now, I'm like, damn, this shit's kind of shitty. You don't really get to experience much out of life. You can feel the disconnect within myself when I'm talking sometimes. You can feel that sense of like urgency, and when I talk versus when I'm actually just letting the emotions feel. Sometimes for you, you just gotta let these emotions feel. And again, this podcast has just been hella helpful. And I just hope that it continues to be helpful for me and for people that are out there. I don't even want to finish or continue. That's how it makes me feel sometimes. It makes me feel like, damn, maybe if I just write the story off or give it a good ending where people still want more? If I give them the fantasy, the fairy tale ending that they would expect. But unfortunately, the story is going to be forever. But it's been your boy, BK. And again, this is Trending Waters, where life gets deeper than the ocean. I just want to say, again, thank you for all the listeners. We've had over 20 people listen to the podcast, individual people. So I just want to shout out those people. I know I haven't been doing a good job with posting, pre-posting and everything, so I'm going to try my best. So just give me some grace and we'll see you on the next dive. This has been BK and this is Trending Waters. Deuces.
My heart in your hands. Where did you put that? I cannot do this again. I'm scared to